Welcome back to the We Win Injury Law podcast. I'm Tyler Todd, your host, sitting here with my co-host, Jaron, the Snow Canyon Man, Sandberg.
Good almost afternoon.
Good almost. Wait, 1 minute away. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully, we are providing some good information regarding legal analysis for ongoing current cases that are high-profile cases in the news and all over social media, giving you some tips along the way, talking about our own experiences, because this is what we do every day with injury cases. I was telling somebody recently, we've been practicing injury law for myself about almost 20 years.
10 years.
10 years, which is crazy. Time flies.
That's why.
It goes by too fast. I got gray hair. It's crazy.
You do?
Just a little.
I've got it coming in too. My beard's changing colors.
I'm not in my 50s yet, but I'm close. So whatever. It is what it is. That's a good thing. But hopefully,
experience.
Yeah. Hopefully we're giving you guys some good information about what it is we do on a daily basis for our clients, why it's important to have an injury lawyer in the event you're in an accident or you've suffered a slip and fall or maybe even a medical malpractice. A slip and fall meaning premises liability type cases.
Yep.
We just signed up an interesting case with a slip and fall at a ski resort, a broken neck, really bad injuries. That'll be an interesting case when we start fighting liability. We have another case with a premises liability with a dryer explosion, suffered massive burns. That's going to be an interesting case as we get into it and start fighting liability. We're hiring and retaining experts right now to get into that. So there's all kinds of cases that if you've suffered injury to the negligence of another, we want to hopefully be a resource. And if you're here in Utah, we're happy to help you. But it's interesting because the growth in Utah is crazy. Is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, did we say that because we live here and see it, or is it really happening?
Well, I've always I grew up here in St. George, and you always hear St. George got ranked nationally for fastest growing cities, but then I think post COVID, at least fast forwarding now, it really feels like Utah. I mean, everywhere we go, it's not just St. George.
I feel like sometimes when we live in our little bubble, right?
Yep.
That is Utah. We don't recognize maybe how the world or the country or sees us, or do they see us?
Yeah.
But thanks to SWIG, I think, thanks to maybe the LDS Church, of course, and the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and Crumble Cookies, Cafe Rio. What else is Utah?
Well, and everyone comes to our
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I mean, so my cousin's from England, and she moved here a couple years ago from in the Manchester, England area. And she had a cousin just come over and visit, and so they came over to our house. This was literally a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. They love Secret Lives of Wives.
In England. I always thought it was more of like a LDS. If you former LDS, Utah, you loved it. No.
Love Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And I was like, hey, I did a podcast with one of them. And she was like, no way. She was so enamored that I did a podcast with, it was Layla, with Secret.
Or TikTok.
Yeah. Did a TikTok. What did I say?
Podcast.
Oh, not a podcast. That'd be cool. We should do a podcast with one of them. Yeah. TikTok with Layla. And she was like, I can't believe that. That's so crazy. I'm in her accent. So she wanted to come.
Is that your British accent coming?
No, that wasn't. And she wanted to go to SWIG.
So she had, just because of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. That's great.
So from England, they wanted to come over and kind of see Utah because of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and go to SWIG.
Now, having come from the pub capital of the world, what did they think of SWIG? Did you get the post reaction?
She hadn't been yet. But that was on her bucket list. It was on the bucket list before she went back home. And it's crazy. So Utah is on the list. We're on the map. The secret is out about how great and beautiful Utah is. And we all know that it's a place that we just did a commercial. It's a place that we raise our families, and it's a great place. I'm not from Utah. I'm from Virginia. My wife's from Florida. So I don't think within a million years we ever thought we'd end up living in Utah, but we love it. And I think people realize that you come to Utah, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful state. The national parks, like you said. So people know about Zion National Park and Bryce and Arches.
Moab.
And
then the ski resorts.
Park City. Of course, everyone got Park City. Oh, we just lost the Sundance Film Festival, didn't we?
That was, I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
Just seems weird to move it.
I think so too. But for years, that's been a draw for a lot of people. And So yeah, secret's out. Utah is growing.
Now, have you ever been to anything at Sundance? I mean, I've been to Park City, but have you ever actually done anything during the festival?
No.
It's mostly celebrity.
Yeah, and all the different things they do there. I mean, I don't know if people go up there. I don't know.
I'm sure any local business up there is probably bummed on the lost revenue during that time, but
sure.
I think for most of us,
I think Park City's already on the daily busy.
Yeah.
And I've been up there quite often, and we go up there because we have offices throughout the state of Utah. From north to south has exploded in growth. So what that means is our roads are busier than ever. Our freeways are busier than ever. Our rural highways are busier than ever. And you just have to be aware that the roads are busier than ever. And that's why for the last couple of years, our motto has been leave early, slow down. We have a radio show that we do live, and that's what we, hopefully reiterate nonstop. We say it here on this podcast nonstop. Leave early, slow down, because our roads are busier than ever. So question to you, have you noticed as we go up and down the state, one particular area being more busier than the other, north versus south?
Well, obviously for St. George, we've seen massive changes and every time they do construction down here, we notice a big shift, right? In traffic congestion. I mean, we deal with the gorge that maybe northern Utah doesn't deal with. So if we're ever having to go to Vegas, or even down to Mesquite, we deal with a lot of that. But I don't know if I've ever been to northern Utah that I don't feel like the traffic is really congested. And this is maybe the small town southern Utah native coming out of me, but I've grown up here and born here. It's obviously we're stoked down here that we have 3 lanes of freeway now, but up in northern Utah, we had 5-6 lanes of freeway. And I think we see it in our cases up north. We get a lot more freeway cases. It seems like, at least, versus down here, we get a lot more intersection, failure to yield, rear end collisions. It'll be interesting to see, whether that shift trends, the busier and busier it gets down here versus up there.
There's I'd noticed a lot of exit ramp incident cases. I feel like, and maybe that's more in northern Utah. We get a lot of northern Utah exit ramp cases. And I think that's because the congestion and the traffic has gotten so bad that when you go to merge on the freeway, most on-ramps have the one light, one vehicle per green, and you're 3 or 4 wide. And so it almost feels like you're in NASCAR. You're like, start your, and then I don't know about you, but I'm always like, let's go. And I think everyone just hits it, which when you're merging onto stop and go traffic causes a problem. And then when you're getting off, it's very congested. So it causes a lot of rear end impacts on exit ramps.
Well, especially every time I come from Salt Lake and I hit that Thanksgiving Point exit, you're like, I'm going to run into traffic.
You're going to hit traffic at the point of the mountain.
Traffic is likely going to back up onto the freeway, even from that exit is really what's causing the congestion there. And I'm sure that UDOT's probably trying to address that for the last 10 years, but they're losing.
Oh my gosh. And if anybody of you guys are watching from northern Utah in the Riverton-Harriman area, how long has 134 and Bangor Highway been under construction? I swear it's been under construction for the last 15 years. Yeah. Literally, we've gone this way, under, over, I don't know, and it's still under construction.
Now, this is the other end of that question I want to ask you. So, my opinion has been that we're terrible drivers in Utah. I mean, it just is.
Yeah. Well,
and so tell me this, because I do feel like this is a thing, right? Like, we're in Southern California, there's 10 lanes of freeway, and to get across all 10, I feel like, is turn on your blinker and people let you in. And I feel like we don't get that same courtesy in Utah. And some of that might be that we're newer, like myself, to large freeways and congested traffic. But is it a great state to be an injury lawyer in because the drivers are terrible on the freeway?
Yeah, honestly, that's a great question. Either one, they're terrible drivers, or something clicks. So when our dog gets into the pool, her name is Minka, but when she gets into the pool, she turns into Margot. She turns crazy. Yeah. And I think for whatever reason, when we get into our cars in Utah, we all turn into raging assholes. I don't know what it is.
Or even, to be fair,
I feel
Tyler
like
makes fun of me every time we drive on the freeway and I'm driving, because I'm used to 2 and 3 lane southern Utah, and that's where I'm from. And we get down to Las Vegas traffic or northern Utah traffic, and Tyler likes to tease me about it, but it's a little bit true. I'm a little bit like
A little nervous. You get a little nervous.
A little more nervous, right? I'm not used to it. And I've always wondered if the explosive growth in Utah maybe led to some of that. We're used to being able to get where we want quickly, and now they're having to deal with traffic and LA and Vegas has been dealing with for 50 years.
They're used to it.
Maybe it's new.
Yeah.
Utah actually ranks 12th lowest nationally.
12th lowest. Oh, so Utah's actually pretty good, right? I mean, that's 12th lowest.
Lower than the U.S. average.
For
just
fatalities.
On crash fatalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would make sense, though.
That kind of tracks, right? Because most of southern Utah is really, well, it's either freeway driving, which most is safe. Most times it's safe. I think the rural highways are a little bit more dangerous because they're one-lane highways, they're high speeds, and you're dealing with trucks or tired drivers. Now that can happen on Interstate 15. So in Utah, you guys, if you don't know Utah, if you haven't been to Utah, please come. It's beautiful. And visit Zion National Park.
Don't move here.
Or if you get involved in an accident, call us. But
better plug.
But we have Zion National Park, we have Bryce, we have Arches, we have Moab, we have the ski resort. So it's a beautiful place to obviously come and visit. But we have one main interstate highway, and that's I-15.
Yeah.
And that connects to Denver, that connects to up north to Jackson Hole, and it goes south to Vegas and all the way down to California.
Yeah.
And so we're in a number of different states in the Mountain West, really, really, really quickly, actually.
But anything going from Mexico to Canada probably comes to I-15.
Yeah, it comes up to I-15.
We're on that corridor.
So there are a number of accidents, and I feel like for a long time it's been maybe a little bit of sleepy west, even though it's the Wild West, a little sleepier.
Yeah. And
now, especially with Amazon, goodness gracious, we have semi-trucks up and down this interstate highway nonstop. It's good that we are ranked 12th in the nation for the 12th lowest state for fatalities, but it's still way too many, obviously. And what I find is that because, like you said, we're just not used to that driving, we're not used to that congestion that I think has, I don't know, I want to say doubled, but it is tremendously grown over the last several years. We're just not used to it. And maybe that's why we all turn into raging assholes. We're just frustrated because it's just different.
And some of this, like, we look at data, and some of this is, as we've even opened the office, we look at crash data and some things, but the crash data for Utah is misleading. And I'm not going to say it's Utah Highway Patrol safety, I'm not going to blame it on them, but how many police reports of our clients who were clearly injured have you read where it says no injuries reported?
Yeah.
Almost all of them. And normally and there's a number of factors. One, I also think clients are scared of getting an ambulance, right? There's a lot of them that are, I don't know at fault. I've never dealt with this before. I know ambulances are expensive.
Well, and most are savvy enough to know that if they're not bleeding from every pore or suffering life-threatening injuries, it's a very expensive ride.
Yeah. They know, and we see it here in town. You take a 4-block ride in the ambulance from a crash on River Road over to St. George Regional. It's a $2,800 drive.
Yeah, I just saw a bill from a client. We just signed up life flight from an hour, maybe not even $40,000. So yeah,
those are expensive rides. A lot. You could buy a first class ticket to Europe for a lot cheaper than the life flight cost.
And a lot more enjoyable.
And it's a lot more enjoyable. I can promise you that. But I think a lot of people don't report crashes, don't want to report injuries, or again, the officer will say something like, do I need to call the ambulance? People are like, well, their adrenaline's pumping and they know the costs. And so I think people are savvy about that and they don't want to incur those extra costs. But I also think, and we talked about this a little bit before the show, we just reviewed the dash cam or the chest camera of an officer. The entire time after a crash with one of our clients, he never once even asked, does anyone need an ambulance? Is anyone okay? Are you okay?
Right.
And then our client's father drove him from the accident scene to the hospital. It was that serious. And when we asked both of them, like, did the officer ever, but on the bottom of his report, he writes, no injuries reported.
Right.
And so we see this crash data, and you see it in Utah, fatalities, those I'm pretty sure are probably fairly accurate because that, it's not like you see a big difference. But we'll see a lot of crash data where it'll say something like, 20,000 crashes, 14,000 had injuries or something. When we see that data for the state of Utah, me and you both know that the reality is almost all car accidents result in some injuries.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, and there's some
over 95%
with injuries.
Of all car crashes, even small fender benders.
That's a good question. I mean,
probably.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, right?
I'm not saying they're all catastrophic
or
not like all
super significant, but yeah, I mean,
back surgery. But
so in Utah, we're a PIP state. We're personal injury protection, where it's a no-fault state, and you have benefits on your own policy. There are clients that call, and we'll say they're hurt, but they're not that hurt, and their injuries and the treatment related to those injuries don't reach that $3,000 threshold that the law requires them to meet in order to pursue a personal injury claim. And that happens occasionally, but more oftentimes than not, I would say 7 out of 10, 70 to 80% do.
Yeah, they do hit that.
Hit that. So
I would say it's probably there's almost no one, barring a 16-year-old kid that's an athlete, which we still do plenty of cases with minors, but barring that you're in the pinnacle of athleticism, most car crashes are going to cause some injuries that you cover.
And I 1,000% agree with that. And let me add this to your thoughts, and they're excellent. One thing that people don't realize, and I think we're seeing this more and more throughout the entire state of Utah, and this is important, and maybe if you're watching this or listening wherever you are, you don't have to be in Utah, obviously. I think more people are suffering, maybe not necessarily a physical injury as much. I mean, obviously they do, right? That's what we just talked about. But in addition to the physical side of the injury consideration, people are suffering mental and emotional trauma from accidents more than ever. And I think that the insurance companies need to hear that and see that. And so even though they may not have suffered like a broken bone or something that may manifest on an X-ray from a car accident, even though more oftentimes than not they do, people do, and I would say 100% suffer from some level of emotional trauma from a car accident or any type of injury.
Yeah, one of our therapists that we work with pretty frequently, that a lot of clients go to, and some of that's because they'll work off of a medical lien. I was just talking to him, and pretty small child doing therapy, and I was kind of just asking, what's your thoughts on the therapy and how's it going? And he said, well, I think we figured out pretty quick because now mom is also meeting with a different therapist than what the child's meeting with, because even the parent was kind of projecting some of their issues on what the child was suffering was really a lot of the parent's trauma from the accident. It was a serious accident. And I thought it was interesting that, I think a lot of us think, we're tough enough. I don't need it, but sure, you need therapy, or we can, everyone else in my family probably needs it. Cause this was really traumatizing.
You need it.
And the therapist was saying,
you need it actually.
To me. I probably do need therapy. Tyler and I have worked together for 10 years. We both probably have a little trauma from working with that.
I was reading a child advocacy book, and I swear the whole book has just told me I need to go to therapy. That as lawyers, it's just we all need it.
Yeah. But I do think that emotional trauma, I think there's a lot of clients that need more of it. And we're getting better at recognizing it. And
for sure. I just want you to know, and if you're listening or watching out there, it's a big deal. And hopefully you have a lawyer who is representing you with that passion of that particular injury. And it's compensable, meaning the insurance company should pay you for that because it is equally as significant as a physical injury. Your emotional trauma and any sort of anxiety, depression, or anything that you may be dealing with in a mental health perspective is equally as valuable as that broken arm or torn ligament in your knee or torn rotator cuff or herniated disc in your neck and back or wherever it may be. It's equally as important and compensable.
Well, and it's so interesting too, because one of the greatest examples we've heard before and we'll use with juries, someone runs into the room and tells you, Tyler, your kid's been hit by a car, right? And that not only causes, you weren't hit by a car,
right?
Nothing happened to you, but not only does it have an emotional, immediate, oh my gosh, people have heart attacks when they hear terrible news.
Totally.
I mean, there's emotional trauma can cause a physical response, and it's physically, think of most listeners will recognize when you've been through a very stressful time in your life, no one was physically hitting you, but what a physical toll stress can take on us. And I think we're learning more and more about that. We obviously tell that story to adjusters, where before it was really, well, their medical bills are X. And
Right.
you know, their treatment, gosh, they reported a 2 out of 10 pain is the only thing they're still dealing with. And we have to do a really good job. And we stress this with our staff and with us and with adjusters.
And defense lawyers. And
there's a physical toll on the mental side of dealing with an accident.
Totally. No, we want to stress that. We want to make sure you guys that's a big deal. So whether you're in northern Utah, southern Utah, the state is exploding with growth. The freeways, roadways, our inner city roads are all busier than ever. Construction everywhere, it feels like. Leave early, slow down, be mindful, know that you may encounter it. Don't turn into a raging asshole. We're all trying to get somewhere, point A to B safely. I believe that. I don't think we're out there trying to be mean to each other, even though sometimes it does come across that way.
Well, now I'm going to get therapy after this.
We're all going to go to therapy, and hopefully that'll help us drive a little safer. Be safe out there. And if you have questions, you can find us. The consults are always free, and we want to be a resource and help. And you can find us on our website, wewinninjurylaw.com. We have a chat that you can engage with us there. You can find us on social media, subscribe, and hit us up here in the comments here. However you can get a hold of us, we're happy to be a resource. And the consults are always free. Just be safe out there in Utah, and wherever you are listening or watching, be safe, because the rural roads and highways and freeways are getting more congested than ever. Be safe out there.